Hello, I'm Isla. Tonight, the stars are silent, yet full of things they long to say. Have you ever looked up at the sky and truly noticed something? Every shining star is a quiet witness to moments when we thought we were lost. And in this story, there is a voice, a feeling, a dream that's been traveling for so long, just to find its way to a heart like yours. It may seem like just a bedtime story, but truly, it's a gentle journey, a path where you might meet a forgotten part of yourself. As your eyes slowly close, and that soft voice inside begins to whisper, time slows, the world shifts, and suddenly you're in a space between reality and dream. Now take a deep breath, let it fill you like a cool night breeze, and let go. Because in this story, you're never alone. You have a friend beside you. I'm here. Your can is here. And together, we begin a journey into the coziest corner of dreams. If you're ready, we begin. Once upon a time, in a place not so far away. And so the night began. The air was as calm as a dream gently gliding through the dark. The moon peeked through the clouds with a shy smile, and the stars, one by one, began to slowly open their eyes. In a distant place, one you wouldn't find on any map, there was a tiny town. It had no name because only those who carried peace in their hearts could find it. This place grew even quieter at night, and on its highest hill, hidden between the tall pine trees, stood a small wooden house. Its windows were fogged, its roof covered in moss, but from inside, a warm light glowed softly. In that house lived someone alone, Luna. She was someone who didn't just see with her eyes, she felt with her heart. Her long hair would sway gently with the wind, and she would spend her days listening to silence. At night, she asked questions to the stars and stored their falling answers deep within her soul. That night, Luna stepped outside with a tiny lantern in her hand. Her shoes were muddy, but she didn't mind. Under the moon's soft glow, she walked through the forest until she reached the edge of the lake. Something had shifted in the sky that day. One of the stars seemed brighter than usual, and Luna had felt it. It was like an invitation. Standing by the water, she gazed at the reflection of the stars. Even the lake seemed to be asleep. But just then, something happened. The brightest star in the sky suddenly moved, and its light touched Luna's heart. Time stopped. Even the leaves on the trees paused their whispering. There was only one sound now, a soft voice, barely a breath. We've been waiting for you. Luna closed her eyes and followed that voice, because sometimes a star doesn't wake you up. It invites you to sleep, to truly rest, so that you can be reborn once again. And then something shifted. Luna stood still, her breath caught in the night's quiet air. The glow from the lake shimmered strangely, like ripples of light, not water. It wasn't just a reflection anymore. It was a doorway. A soft hum filled the air, low and steady, like a lullaby sung by the stars themselves. The trees around her leaned in ever so slightly, as if the entire forest was holding its breath. Luna took one step forward, and the world changed. The ground beneath her feet no longer crunched with fallen leaves. Instead, she stood on smooth, glowing stones that pulsed faintly with light. The sky above her had deepened to a violet blue, and the stars, they weren't just twinkling, they were moving, forming shapes, symbols, as if writing something in the sky just for her. A gentle breeze brushed against her face, but it carried no scent, no cold. Only a whisper, follow the path before it fades. Luna's fingers tightened around the handle of her lantern. She didn't know what lay ahead, but she knew. This was no longer just a quiet night walk. This was the beginning of something else, something old, something forgotten by most, but waiting for her. The trees opened into a clearing. In the center stood a massive stone archway covered in vines that shimmered like silver threads. There were no doors, no signs, just that same pulsing light and the overwhelming sense that if she stepped through, everything would change. She hesitated for only a moment. Then, with one deep breath, Luna stepped forward into the unknown. As Luna stepped through the archway, the world folded around her like silk. Colors she'd never seen before danced in the air, shades between blue and silver, whispers of green and gold. She wasn't in the forest anymore. She was somewhere else. A place that didn't follow the rules of time or space. The sky above her spun slowly, filled with floating islands, glowing birds, and great clockwork moons that ticked without sound. Ahead of her, a narrow path floated midair, lined with flickering lanterns. Each lantern held a small symbol, a key, a feather, an eye, a tear, a flame. She walked, and then she saw them, the Watchers, tall, cloaked figures with masks of polished stone. They stood in silence, unmoving, like statues. But as Luna passed, one of them turned its head, just slightly, not threatening, but knowing. Farther ahead, a boy with silver hair and glowing eyes was drawing symbols in the air. The symbols hung there, suspended like stars, and as she watched, one of them blinked and became a butterfly. On a bench made of crystal vines, an old woman was whispering to a book, and the book was whispering back. Luna's heart was racing, not from fear, but from something deep and ancient awakening inside her. She felt like she knew this place, not from dreams, but from a memory she never remembered having. Suddenly, a small creature with antlers and wings fluttered near her shoulder. It spoke, but not with words, with images, flashes of a map, a door, a name lost in time. Then it vanished, like a breath. Luna turned to where the creature had pointed. There stood a gate, black, twisting, alive with shadows, and above it, carved in stone, only the forgotten may enter, only the brave may return. She looked back. The archway she'd entered from was gone. This was it. Her journey had truly begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. She stepped closer to the gate. Its surface shimmered like liquid shadow, rippling, whispering. remembering. As Luna reached out a hand, the black vines of the doorway curled slightly, as if sensing her presence, not rejecting her, not welcoming her either, just aware. Then she heard it, a sound like a single bell struck underwater, and a voice, low, ancient, and slow, not in her ears, but inside her chest. You are not the first. You will not be the last. Luna froze. She looked around. The watchers were still behind her, unmoving. The boy with the silver eyes was gone. The lanterns flickered, and at her feet, a small carving began to glow. It was a symbol, one she had never seen before, yet it felt familiar, like something from a forgotten dream, a spiral around a single drop, like a falling tear locked in time. Suddenly, memories that weren't hers began to flood her mind. A girl just like her, walking through this very place. Laughter echoing through the trees. Then, silence. A door slamming shut, a name being erased, and the girl's shadow stretching far, longer than her body, until it swallowed the path behind her. Luna gasped and staggered back. The image was gone, but the feeling stayed. Something had happened here, something no one ever spoke of. A choice, maybe, a mistake, a sacrifice. And now, the path Luna would walk would uncover it, because the truth was buried in this realm, and it was waiting for someone with a heart brave enough to feel it. She didn't know the girl in the vision, or did she? The creature with wings appeared again, briefly. It dropped something at her feet. A small silver key. Luna picked it up, and when her fingers touched it, the shadows on the gate parted, just slightly. Enough for her to step through, but as she did, she whispered to herself, who was she? And what happened to her light? The air on the other side was colder, the silence deeper, and the journey into the forgotten truth had begun. The air behind the gate was still and cool. Luna walked slowly, her silver key still warm in her hand. Each step echoed in a space that felt endless. Or maybe it was just quiet enough to hear time breathe. Then, in the middle of nothing, a single pedestal appeared, carved from white stone, glowing faintly from within. On top of it lay a book, worn, soft, bound in deep blue velvet. No lock, no title, just a single symbol etched on the cover, a crescent moon cradling an eye. She reached for it. The moment her fingers brushed the fabric, the world around her shifted again. The walls melted into mist, the floor turned into waves, and suddenly, she wasn't in that space anymore. She was inside the book. The scent of lavender and old paper filled the air. She stood in a circular room, walls lined with glowing pages, fluttering gently like leaves in the wind. One of the pages floated down to her feet. She picked it up and read the first line. Night 1. She came in through the forest, holding silence in both hands. She didn't know who she was, but the forest remembered her. Luna blinked. It was written in her handwriting. But she had never written this. Another page drifted down. Night 2. She dreamed of water, but her feet never got wet. She heard her name whispered in the trees, but it wasn't the name she was given. It was the one she had lost. A soft hum began in the room, the same hum she had heard at the lake. Luna turned slowly. One of the walls began to ripple like water. From its surface, a reflection appeared, but not her own. It was the girl, the one from her vision. Same eyes, same face, but older, sadder, and standing in a storm Luna didn't remember living through. The reflection spoke, "You left me behind." Luna's heart pounded. She stepped back. The journal pages flew up like startled birds. But the reflection kept speaking. "To remember the light, you must first walk through all your forgotten nights." Then the room went dark, and Luna opened her eyes. Back in the quiet, endless hallway, the blue velvet journal now clutched tightly in her arms. It had a new title now. Written in silver ink, Luna's dream record, entry begins. The journal pulsed in Luna's arms, warm, alive, almost breathing. As she gently opened it, the pages fluttered by themselves, as if choosing which memory to show her first. The light around her dimmed. Her eyelids felt heavy, but she wasn't falling asleep. She was being drawn inward. Then everything went still, and when she opened her eyes, she was 7 years old again. A field of wildflowers stretched out before her. Golden light bathed everything. She could feel the warmth on her cheeks and the distant sound of wind chimes hanging from a willow tree. This was real, too real to be a dream. But it wasn't today. It was a memory. She turned, and there she was, her mother, younger than Luna remembered, smiling, holding a red ribbon in her hand. "Come, Luna," she called. "Let me braid your hair before the sun disappears." Luna's throat tightened. She remembered this day, the last day before the storm, the last time she had seen her mother smile without sadness behind her eyes. She watched, frozen, as the younger version of herself ran barefoot through the grass, laughing, tumbling into her mother's arms. Then, the wind changed. The sky darkened, only slightly, but it was enough. Luna could feel something pulling at the edges of the scene, like a thread being slowly tugged. She turned toward the sound and saw it. The shadow, tall, thin, watching from the edge of the trees. It didn't move. It didn't speak. But Luna remembered what came next. Not in detail. Just the feeling. A sudden silence, a door slamming shut, and her mother's voice calling her name one last time. Only now, in this dream, Luna didn't run. She walked toward the shadow. And as she got closer, the shadow reached out a hand and placed something in her palm. A piece of red ribbon, torn, burnt at the edges. Then everything vanished. The field, the sun, the voice, gone. She woke up, gasping softly, the journal still in her hands. But this time, there was something new resting inside it, a real red ribbon, and written in delicate silver letters beneath it, "Dream 2, the Lost Friend." The pages of Luna's journal fluttered open once more. inviting her deeper into the labyrinth of her forgotten nights. As she read the first words, the world around her softened and blurred, and then reshaped itself into a familiar place. She found herself standing in a sun-dappled meadow, where wildflowers swayed gently in a warm breeze. But this meadow was different. It hummed with a quiet magic, as if every petal and blade of grass held a secret. Luna's heart stirred with a strange mixture of hope and unease. Suddenly, a voice called her name, soft and trembling. She turned, and there, among the trees, stood a figure cloaked in light and shadow. It was a girl, around Luna's age, with eyes like shimmering pools. She smiled sadly, reaching out a hand. "Do you remember me?" she whispered. "I waited a long time for you." Luna stepped forward, the weight of the question heavy on her lips. "Who are you?" she asked. The girl's smile faded, replaced by a look of deep longing. "I am your forgotten friend, the one you left behind." Suddenly, the meadow began to ripple, as if reality itself was unraveling. The girl's form flickered like a flame caught in the wind. Before Luna could reach her, the figure dissolved into a swirl of stars. In her palm, Luna found a small, worn pendant, etched with the same spiral and tear symbol from before. A whisper echoed in the wind, "Find the pieces, find the light." The journal's pages snapped shut. Luna's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment she was alone, but not quite, because deep inside her chest, something had shifted. A thread of memory tugged at her soul, pulling her toward a destiny she had only just begun to understand. The whispered secret. After the pendant vanished from her hand, Luna stood still, heart pounding like a distant drum. The air grew thick around her, heavy with unspoken truths. The journal in her arms suddenly warmed, pulsing with a steady beat. A voice, soft but clear, whispered through the silence, not from anywhere, and yet everywhere. Not all who walk the path remember why they began. Luna closed her eyes, and images flooded her mind. A hidden chamber beneath the forest, a mirror cracked with age and sorrow, a name carved in stone, Seraphina. The voice spoke again. Seraphina was the first to walk between worlds, but her light was stolen, her story erased. She waits in the shadows, bound by forgotten promises. To find her is to find the truth and to reclaim what was lost. Luna opened her eyes, determination settling in her gaze. She knew now that this journey was not only hers. It was the story of many, a story waiting to be remembered. The journal's pages flipped open to a new entry, written in silver ink, "The Awakening of Light." The words on the journal shimmered softly in the moonlight as Luna's fingers traced the name, Seraphina. A warmth began to rise from within her chest, a gentle glow, like embers stirring to life. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath. The silence around her deepened, and the pulsing light in her hands grew brighter. Suddenly, memories flooded her mind, not just of her past, but of power she had never understood. the ability to weave light from shadow, to hear the whispers of stars, to walk between dreams and waking worlds. With each breath, the light expanded, flowing through her veins, filling her with strength, courage, and clarity. She opened her eyes, now glowing with a calm, fierce light. The shadows around her trembled and softened, as if recognizing their equal. And then she spoke, voice steady and sure. I am not lost. I am the light that remembers. I am Seraphina's heir, and the promise will be kept. The black gate before her shimmered and opened wide. Beyond it lay a realm of endless stars, waiting for her touch. Luna stepped forward, ready to embrace the path she was born to walk. The journal's last page glowed softly. The light within us all waits patiently, waiting to be awakened by those brave enough to seek it. Luna's journey is just beginning, but the dawn is already breaking.